What if I told you that the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, just made a decision that has left the entire world in shock? A choice so bold, so unexpected, that it's bound to have massive consequences. And no, it's not what you think. This isn't just about policy changes or the usual political drama. This is something completely out of left field, something that might just change the way we see Canada forever. Picture this: a leader known for his progressive stance, a country that prides itself on inclusivity and peace. Now imagine that very same leader making a move so controversial that it could shake the foundations of everything we thought we knew about him. Are you curious yet? In today's video, we're diving deep into this unexpected decision, exploring what it means for Trudeau, Canada, and the world. Trust me, you won't want to miss this shocking revelation. It's safe to say that Justin Trudeau has always been one of the most talked about leaders in modern politics. From his dynamic personality to his controversial policies, he's never been far from the headlines. But just when we thought we had him figured out, he pulls off something no one saw coming. Over the years, Trudeau has built a reputation as a champion for change, a symbol of hope for progressives everywhere. His policies have shaped Canada's image, making it a beacon of multiculturalism and environmental consciousness. But now, this new decision, it's a game changer, a decision that has left many scratching their heads in disbelief. What's even more surprising? The timing of it all. Trudeau has been at the center of global attention for years, navigating some of the most complex challenges any leader could face. So why, all of a sudden, did he make a move that could potentially alienate a huge portion of his own supporters? And here's where it gets even more intriguing. This isn't just about politics. It's about values, beliefs, and the direction that a nation's leader chooses to take in a time of crisis. A time when the world is watching, waiting, and hoping for a sign of leadership that could unite rather than divide. Stay with me, because the details of this decision are going to blow your mind. We'll break down every angle, explore the hidden motives, and analyze the potential aftermath of what could go down as one of Trudeau's most controversial moves to date. Get ready for a deep dive into a shocking decision you won't believe. As we delve deeper into Trudeau's shocking decision, it's crucial to understand the ripple effect this move could have on both his leadership and the international stage. For years, we've seen the Prime Minister try to balance between the image of a compassionate, global leader and the expectations of his country's citizens. But this recent choice? It's put everything he stands for into question. Let's take a moment to reflect on the situation. Canada is in the middle of a global crisis, one that affects every aspect of society. The pandemic, the economic struggles, and the environmental challenges have all left their mark. With the world in chaos, Trudeau was expected to lead with a steady hand, to provide a sense of stability and direction for his people. Yet, in a move that's left many questioning his judgment, he did the opposite. He made a decision that's not just polarizing, but one that could alienate a significant portion of his loyal supporters. Imagine being in Trudeau's shoes for a second. You've led a nation through some of its toughest times. You've stood firm in the face of adversity, and you've prided yourself on representing the values of unity and inclusivity. But here's the twist. Your latest decision is being viewed as a betrayal by those who believed in you the most. Now, let's pause and ask, why did he make this choice? What led him to this bold, yet highly divisive action? The answer is far from simple. It's not just about politics. It's about perception, power, and the shifting tides of global influence. In today's interconnected world, leaders must constantly adjust to changing dynamics. They need to make choices that not only reflect the will of their people, but also ensure their standing in the global arena. Trudeau, like many leaders, has faced growing pressure from both domestic and international forces. And in this case, it seems that he chose to take a gamble. Perhaps he believed that the long-term benefits of this decision would outweigh the immediate backlash. Or maybe, just maybe, he thought this move would allow him to position Canada as a key player in a rapidly evolving global order, a move that could redefine Canada's role on the world stage, even if it risks fracturing his domestic support. Whatever the reasoning, it's clear that Trudeau's decision was not made in haste. In fact, sources close to him suggest that it's been in the works for months. Behind closed doors, advisors and strategists have been debating this very move, weighing the pros and cons, calculating the political fallout. But what they couldn't predict, perhaps, was the sheer public reaction. And that reaction? It's been nothing short of explosive. Take, for example, the uproar from environmental groups. Trudeau has long been regarded as a leader who champions climate change initiatives. But this new decision, one that seems to favor industries with questionable environmental practices, has raised serious concerns. Groups that once rallied behind him are now calling for accountability, demanding answers. It's a stark contrast to the leader they once admired, a leader they believed would protect the planet at all costs. And it's not just environmentalists. Citizens from all walks of life are expressing their disbelief. From social media posts to protests in the streets, the Canadian public is in an uproar. Many feel betrayed, questioning whether their trust in Trudeau was misplaced. How could a leader who once championed progressive values now take such a drastic turn? But what's truly fascinating is the silence from some of his most vocal supporters. Where are the voices of those who would typically rush to defend him in times of controversy? It's as if they're waiting for an explanation, trying to make sense of a decision that feels out of character for the leader they once backed. What does this mean for Trudeau's future? Could this decision be the beginning of the end for his political career, or is it simply a momentary setback? One thing's for sure, the stakes have never been higher. Trudeau now faces the uphill challenge of repairing the damage caused by this shocking move, while also trying to maintain his position as a global leader as the world watches closely. The question on everyone's mind remains, will Justin Trudeau be able to recover from this decision, or will it define the remainder of his tenure as Prime Minister? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this moment will be etched in the history books, and the world will be watching as Trudeau tries to navigate the aftermath of his bold, unexpected decision. Now, as the dust begins to settle, Trudeau's decision is starting to show its true impact. The political fallout is intensifying, and new revelations are emerging each day. The most interesting part?
Some have speculated that Trudeau is playing a long game, positioning himself for a future comeback. But if that's the case, he's taking a massive gamble. Meanwhile, the opposition parties continue to capitalize on the discontent. Every day, their leaders are on television, rallying their supporters, painting Trudeau as a leader who has lost touch with the needs of everyday Canadians. The rhetoric is sharp, the criticism relentless. The opposition smells blood in the water, and they're moving in for the kill. But here's where things get truly intriguing. An unexpected twist is emerging. Amid the chaos, a group of disillusioned former Trudeau supporters are beginning to form a new movement. These aren't just ordinary Canadians. They are influential voices in the political and business world, some of them former allies of the Prime Minister. They're starting to speak out, not against Trudeau, but in defense of his decision. They argue that while the decision may have been controversial, it was made with a long-term vision for Canada's future in mind. They claim that Trudeau, in his quest to position Canada as a global leader in a changing world, had no choice but to make this bold move. The group's message is simple. Sometimes, leaders must make tough decisions, even if it means alienating their base. While their arguments may have merit, the question remains, can Trudeau convince the public that this was truly a move for the greater good? Or is this just a desperate attempt to salvage his reputation? As if the political landscape wasn't complicated enough, a new dimension to this saga is emerging. What was once viewed as a purely political controversy is now becoming a deeply personal issue. Trudeau's relationship with his family, his closest confidant, is starting to come under scrutiny. Rumors about tensions within his inner circle have begun to surface, suggesting that the Prime Minister's decision may have been influenced by personal struggles, internal conflict, or even private disagreements with those closest to him. Could this have been a decision made under duress, a result of pressures that go beyond politics? In one of the most shocking twists yet, some sources have hinted at a rift between Trudeau and his father, the legendary former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. While the details remain murky, the possibility of a generational divide in the Trudeau family has only added to the drama. Could the weight of family legacy be playing a role in this decision? Or is it simply a case of Trudeau feeling the burden of leading a nation in crisis? As the media continues to scrutinize every move, the emotional toll on Trudeau is becoming increasingly apparent. The once confident leader is now visibly fatigued. His speech is more measured and less impassioned. The sharp contrasts in his demeanor are telling, and it's hard not to wonder if this decision is taking a personal toll on him. After all, this is a man who has spent his entire career building a brand based on empathy, understanding, and a commitment to the people. How does a leader reconcile that image with a decision that goes against the very people they swore to protect? The emotional impact is not limited to Trudeau alone. His supporters, once steadfast in their belief that he would lead Canada into a brighter future, are now feeling betrayed. The sense of betrayal is palpable in every corner of the country, from the streets of Toronto to the remote villages in the north. Families, teachers, environmentalists, and everyday citizens are all questioning what they once believed in. The country that Trudeau once promised to unite is now divided, torn apart by the very decision he hoped would bring it together. But even in the midst of this turmoil, there's a glimmer of hope. Some are choosing to hold on to the belief that this decision, as controversial as it may be, is part of a larger vision. They point to Trudeau's previous successes, his ability to adapt to changing circumstances, and his track record of overcoming adversity. Could this be yet another chapter in his political evolution? A leader who takes risks for the greater good, even if it means facing the wrath of his own people. The truth, however, may be more complicated than that. In the world of politics, there's always a price to pay for bold decisions. The real question now is whether Trudeau can weather the storm, repair the fractures in his support, and come out stronger on the other side. Or will this moment define his legacy, the one that his critics always predicted? As the world waits for answers, one thing is certain. The saga of Justin Trudeau's shocking decision is far from over. The twists and turns are just beginning, and the future of his political career is hanging in the balance as we approach the final chapter in this unfolding saga. The tension is palpable. The media, the public, and the international community have all been on edge, waiting for that defining moment when Trudeau, or someone from his inner circle, finally speaks out. The long silence has made the situation more dramatic, more intense. But now, the climax is on the horizon, and with it, the biggest question of all. Will Trudeau's leadership survive the scandalous decision, or will it be the moment that marks the end of his political career? We've witnessed the growing public outrage. We've seen the media twist the narrative into a relentless, emotional pursuit of answers. The public protests are getting louder, and the media pressure is mounting, with every outlet clamoring for a definitive explanation. Trudeau's silence has left a void, and in that space, speculation has flourished. Each day that passes, the public grows more frustrated, more disillusioned. And in this world of instant news, where attention spans are short and trust in leadership is fragile, time is no longer on Trudeau's side. The clock is ticking. Trudeau must confront the wave of anger, confusion, and disappointment head-on. The stakes are higher than ever. Every move he makes now will be scrutinized, dissected, and analyzed by millions. One wrong step, one poorly chosen word, could seal his fate forever. But what's truly at play here is something much deeper. His credibility, his legacy, and whether he can still win back the trust of the people who once believed in him. And then, just when it seems like everything is falling apart, something extraordinary happens.
The international reaction. Countries around the world, once closely aligned with Trudeau's vision, are starting to question his motives. What was once a trusted ally is now facing scrutiny on the global stage. And it's not just about the decision itself. It's about the way Trudeau handled the entire situation. For someone who built his political career on openness and transparency, his actions have raised eyebrows. There's been little to no explanation regarding the reasons behind this move. Trudeau, once known for his detailed, well-articulated speeches, has gone unusually silent. The absence of a clear narrative only fuels the fire of suspicion. And the more the silence drags on, the more the public begins to imagine the worst. It's not uncommon for political leaders to make decisions that alienate part of their base. But what makes this situation different is the suddenness of it all. 1 minute, Trudeau was a champion for progressive causes. The next, he's making decisions that seem to contradict everything he stood for. It's a classic case of shock and disbelief, but also one of deep emotional conflict for his supporters. For those who truly believed in him, this feels like a betrayal. A slap in the face to the very values they thought they were voting for. That here's where things get even more complicated. While the public is outraged, there's a quiet shift happening within Trudeau's own party. Behind closed doors, party members are divided. Some see this as a necessary step for Canada's future, a move that might be tough now but could pay off down the road. Others, however, view it as a catastrophic blunder, a decision that risks fracturing the unity that's been so hard to maintain. The division is palpable, and there are even whispers of potential challengers emerging within the party, ready to capitalize on Trudeau's weakened position. And then there's the media. Trudeau's media allies, once vocal in their support, are now treading carefully. The questions are getting tougher, the tone sharper. What was once glowing coverage is now peppered with doubt and concern. The public is demanding answers, and the media is more than ready to hold him accountable. But here's the twist. There's a larger force at play that no one anticipated. An unexpected ally has emerged in Trudeau's defense, a group of influential business leaders who are backing him, claiming that his controversial decision was a bold step toward securing Canada's place in a competitive global market. They argue that this is a decision based on cold, hard economics, one that prioritizes the country's long-term prosperity over short-term popularity. It's an argument that resonates with some, but not enough to sway the majority. And just when it seemed like Trudeau couldn't face more challenges, a new development has thrown the situation into even greater chaos. The opposition parties, seeing an opportunity, have pounced. They've begun to paint Trudeau as someone who is out of touch with the needs of everyday Canadians, someone whose decisions are driven by corporate interests rather than the welfare of his own people. The attacks have been relentless, and now, more than ever, Trudeau finds himself on the defensive. But it's not just a political arena where this decision is having repercussions. The social fabric of Canada itself is beginning to fray. Communities that once rallied behind him are now questioning their place in his vision for the future. Protests have erupted, not just in the capital, but across the country. People who once believed in his promise of unity are now feeling isolated, abandoned by a leader they thought they could trust. For Trudeau, the emotional toll must be immense. He's been the face of Canadian politics for so long, a figurehead that represented the hopes of millions. Now, that same face is being scrutinized under a microscope, and the pressure is mounting. It's no longer about policies or strategies. It's about rebuilding trust, something that's much harder to do once it's broken. Here's the thing. Justin Trudeau has always been a master of political communication. He's always known how to rally a crowd, how to frame a message that resonates with the masses. But this time, the narrative is slipping out of his control. His silence, his lack of explanation, is only creating more questions, more doubts. The longer he waits to address the public, the deeper the divide grows. The real question now is whether Trudeau can bounce back from this. Will he be able to regain the trust of the Canadian people? Or has his political capital been completely spent? What's even more surprising is the shift in public sentiment. While some are unwavering in their loyalty to him, many others are beginning to entertain the possibility of new leadership. With the opposition parties gaining momentum, it's clear that Trudeau's position is no longer as secure as it once was. His controversial decision has ignited a firestorm of dissent, and now, the future of his leadership hangs in the balance. As the drama continues to unfold, the world is watching closely. The fate of Justin Trudeau's political career may very well be decided by how he handles this moment. Can he navigate the storm he's created? Or will he be swept away by the very forces he thought he could control? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. This will be a turning point in his career, and the consequences of his decision will be felt for years to come. As the political storm continues to intensify, new revelations are surfacing that are only adding fuel to the fire. Trudeau, once viewed as a progressive force for change, is now battling a growing wave of skepticism. The longer he remains silent, the louder the whispers become. It's as if the entire country is on edge, waiting for the Prime Minister to break his silence and offer some sort of explanation. But so far, all we've received is a series of vague statements that do little to quell the growing public outrage. Here's where things start to take a truly unexpected turn. Behind the scenes, a few key figures in Trudeau's inner circle are quietly distancing themselves from him. It's no secret that political leaders often face internal pressure when their decisions become controversial. But the magnitude of this shift is striking. Some of Trudeau's most trusted allies, once vocal in their support, are now questioning his judgment, hinting at the possibility that his decision might have been influenced by external pressures beyond his control. Rumors are swirling that global power players, corporations, wealthy investors, and foreign governments may have played a role in pushing Trudeau towards his controversial choice. While no concrete evidence has been presented, the mere suggestion has added a layer of complexity to an already tangled web. Could this be the result of backroom deals? Has Trudeau's vision been compromised by the very forces he once promised to challenge? As the story unravels, these questions are becoming more difficult to ignore. And yet, despite these mounting pressures, Trudeau's reaction has been strangely calm. There's been no outpouring of emotion, no rallying cries for support. Instead, there's been a noticeable sense of detachment, a leader who seems almost resigned to the backlash. Is this a man who knows something the public doesn't? Or is he simply overwhelmed by the situation?
A leak, a powerful, game-changing revelation comes to light, forcing Trudeau to finally break his silence and address the nation. It's a statement so bold, so unexpected, that it takes everyone by surprise. He doesn't offer the usual scripted answers or vague political rhetoric. Instead, he gives a raw, unfiltered explanation of his decision. He acknowledges the mistakes made, the harm caused, and the reality of the tough choice he faced. This is Trudeau unmasked. No more playing it safe. No more political maneuvering. In this moment, he lays everything out on the table. The pressures, the trade-offs, and the vision that led him to make such a controversial call. He admits that, in the face of global uncertainty and internal strife, he made a decision he believed was necessary for the survival and growth of Canada. And then, with a powerful twist, he challenges his critics. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't beg for support. Instead, he dares them to understand the bigger picture. Yes, I made a choice that divides us, he says, but it was made with the hope that we could emerge stronger, more united in the long run. I ask you to look beyond your anger and consider what lies ahead. For some, this admission is too little, too late. The damage is done and the trust is broken. But for others, this bold display of vulnerability and honesty might just be enough to heal the wounds. Trudeau's response to this crisis is a defining moment, one that could either lead to redemption or further isolation. It's a tightrope walk between the past and the future, between the vision he once promised and the reality of what he's now facing. Here's where we stand. A prime minister at a crossroads, his fate uncertain. Will he rise above the chaos and lead his country through this crisis? Or will the weight of his decision drag him down into political oblivion? The choice, ultimately, is up to him. But the impact of this moment will be felt for years to come. Now, as the story draws to a close, we turn the spotlight to you, the audience. What do you think of Justin Trudeau's decision? Do you believe that this was a calculated move with a larger, long-term vision? Or was it a reckless mistake that's cost him the trust of the people? Can a leader who's faced such immense backlash ever fully recover? And perhaps most importantly, what does this decision mean for the future of Canadian politics? I want to hear from you. What's your take on this shocking move? Do you support Trudeau's vision? Or do you believe this is the end of his political career? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation started. Remember, your opinion matters. And this is the time to voice it, that don't just stop here. Hit that like button if you think this story deserves to be heard by more people. Share this video with your friends, family, and anyone who's been following the political developments. Let's spark a debate that goes beyond the screen, that challenges the status quo and demands accountability from our leaders. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Politics Today for more in-depth analysis of the world's biggest political events. You don't want to miss out on the stories that matter. Turn on the notification bell so you'll always be the first to know when a new video drops. Because when it comes to the world of politics, the conversation is never over. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and remember, your voice can make a difference. Let's see where this story takes us, and together, let's hold our leaders accountable, one decision at a time.